Okay, so it's reading recommendations, and I forgot to grab the book, and library hall. I would have uploaded the cut I had, but there was my dog barks, so that would have been a loud interruption. She just barks to bark. She's getting older, and she just barks to bark. Come on. Oh, it's just 10% battery left. It's like, not already. Okay, come on. Gotta find that charger. So, yeah, she just barks to bark, and you pet her, she'll be fine. You don't pet her, she'll not be fine. No matter what we do. Alright, so, first one up and one I'm going to read next is Aquaman Volume 6, I think? Yeah. I keep thinking like 2,000 volumes afterwards, because that first omnibus was just 4 volumes. It felt like a lot longer. Alright, but this is it's Jeff Johns one. This is the Jeff Parker run, which so far it was alright. Actually, that one took forever to come in too. That's right too. So you already got my review of Volume 5. Usually, you know how I feel about the other book, because I've already reviewed. I have the second volume, you know. The next two, yeah, just do like this. Alright, yeah, do one that. Okay, this one's My Hero Academia Volume 2. Again, like I said, you already know how I feel about Volume 1 because I have Volume 2. Then we got Vader Down. Yeah, very, I'll tell you why this is I had to get this one before, or you'll see. I'll explain it later. And finally, the long last, after getting the wrong book, after getting book 3, I finally got the right book of Elfquest. I had to do the complete Elfquest, Volume 1. 714 pages for $25. And it's Dark Horse. And I do understand that, it's Dark Horse, and Marvel would never do that. Marvel, $25 for that? Yeah, right. They'd make it the cheapest paper quality around. But this one is much thinner. This one is $30. So, well, if it wasn't $30, if that was just, no, I see right here. Yeah, this one was $30, and still Dark Horse, too. That's why I pointed that one out. But yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, at least I don't think the Elfquest had come out, that long ago. I could be wrong. It was like 2017, even then. It's still good. Like, no matter when it came out, $25 or a thick-ass book like this, that's awesome. But this one I know nothing about. I just know that everyone that grew up with it loves it now. So it might be one of those books like they just grew up with it and they like it, and it's just bias. Another thing I found funny was that it's black and white. I didn't think it was. It was Marvel. Originally it was Marvel. Then Dark Horse must have bought the rights. You actually can't get Elfquest on the Marvel app at all. But yeah. All right, so I can do those. Put those on the ground. Over Vader. That there. Actually, I want to read this one next. Put that there. Then Hadrian's Wall. This one is by Kyle Higgins. That's the only reason why I got it. And it got pretty good reviews. The only reason why it's rated kind of low on Goodreads is because a lot of them were disappointed it was so short. You know, they wanted more out of the story, and it was just, you know, I think like 6 issues, not even. Feels like it should be 6. Charles Soule liked it, but that's because Charles Soule. You should know. Hope Larson, the one that wrote that Batgirl. Oh, the Batgirl Rebirth. I almost said Batgirl after post New 52, which was Rebirth. But you know what I mean. Like this Aquaman one is post New 52 pre-Rebirth. You don't have that New 52 sticker on it anymore. Not sticker, but that little tagline. You know it's right here. That's how they know. Wonder how they knew at the library. Maybe just like maybe they have like an expert there. I don't know. Superman Secret Origin. This is a reread. Yeah, that's about it. I'm going to reread it. Powers Volume 2. Powers Volume 1 was a reread also, but this is not. Because they didn't have the next volume. I guess they always thought that Powers was just a 1-volume series, or was a 6-issue miniseries, apparently. Honestly, no one's ever talked about it. They're already down to the last 2. It's because of Animal Man and Elfquest that the stack looks so heavy, because it's basically 2 omnibuses. And those add up. So yeah, Animal Man and Elfquest are going to get a review like 10 years later, probably. And I'm kind of am a bit skeptical to read Elfquest because it's pretty. I know it's pretty dated. It came out in like this is Iron Man, the Iron Man Bendis series. It came out a long time ago, you know. So is that all I wanted to say about it? I feel like it went way too fast. All right, so Superman I talked about, Hadrian's Wall I talked about. Oh no, it's a reading recommendations I did. All right, so Iron Man. This is the Bendis run. I really liked the first issue. I read the first issue today too, but I mean like before. That's kind of completely forgot about it. Yeah, I mean it didn't get the best reviews, but you know, and it is where Riri Williams makes her first appearance. But that's in Volume 2, which my library coincidentally enough, well the Interloans did not have. Didn't have it all. It's kind of weird. Alright, so now reading recommendations. Can go kind of fast. I want to be able to read at least one book every half hour, except for 7:30. I was a bit behind, so I had to clean my room, and then I had to I wanted to list those two other books. Alright, let's go. Frighteners, that movie. Without giving too much away for right now, and I'll give away. You know what? When we do this, when I'm talking spoilers, I'll have my hand up and I'll put my hand down. I don't talk spoilers, even though it matters. And not like big spoilers, obviously. Just like I went into this movie blind, so I want you guys to go into this movie blind too. It might just become a cult classic. It's not like a super good movie, like oh my god, it's the best movie ever. No, it's not one of the best underrated horror movies. No. It's just a nice, simple movie that was pretty entertaining. Bit long. I feel like it could have been an hour and a half. It would have been perfect. All right, now the technical spoilers is that it's like Ghostbusters meets Sixth Sense. Because there's ghosts in it. It's more of a horror comedy than a horror movie, which I was disappointed with. Because with a title like The Frighteners, you expect it to be, you know, frightening. Horror movie. But it wasn't like that. It doesn't deteriorate from my enjoyment at all. Obviously, I knew it was a black comedy. One of the taglines on the IMDb said black comedy, so I was like, oh okay, so not gonna be. And then the box art, which I don't have because I returned it. The box art for the DVD, which is different than the poster, gave that away already. So I was like, okay, this is not a horror movie. Great, but it's horror adjacent. It wasn't like a total comedy. There was some parts in it, but it's mostly a horror comedy. I think my mom would be fine with watching it. It's a bit violent, though. That's the only reason why it was rated R, actually. Alright, now moving on to My Hero Academia Volume 1. Now, I'm not a big anime/manga fan. I read Death Note. I wasn't super into Death Note. I thought it was kind of... I honestly thought the Smosh video did it better. Because it was more comedic, and it gave you kind of a lot what you wanted. Especially at the end. And I wish that the movie I didn't see. I did not see that movie. That terrible movie that everyone hates. But the manga, I feel like it was just too slow. And My Hero Academia gave me everything I wanted of the manga. And I feel like because I watched the anime too, the first episode of My Hero Academia, and like with Death Note, I was like, this is not my thing. And of course, if you like that, that's fine. But I wasn't super into anime or manga, and even to this day, really. The only one I had read prior to My Hero Academia was Alita Battle Angel, and it's probably my favorite manga so far, which I've only read 2, so 3, so not much of comparing. Alright, but, so, and I feel like, I kind of feel like what changed my mind was Teen Titans, the early 2000s series, because it's very anime influenced with a lot of the movements. It's about to fall over. But a lot of the movements are anime inspired, and a lot of the animation. I don't know why I said movements, but a lot of the animation is anime inspired. And then Ultimate Galactus Trilogy. Now, I have read, and I keep getting it wrong, but I have read In Search of Galactus, not Resurrection. Not Resurrection of Galactus. I get these two confused because the covers have the same background and almost like the same kind of, not like look the same, you know what I mean? Same background, same everything basically, except for the artwork and the cover. But I always get those two confused. There's Resurrection of Galactus I read, no, sorry, see, I already got it wrong. In Search of Galactus I'd read before, not Resurrection. And even that was better than, of course I've read the original Stan Lee, In Search of Galactus one, you know, the original. Sorry, not In Search of, the original, 48 through 50 of Fantastic Four's first series, because this series also is 46 to 50, which confused the hell out of me when I bought this a long time ago. And you wonder why I got confused, because all signs pointed to, no, this is the Silver Age, except for the creative team. And then on the back it says it collects an annual from 2001. That doesn't make any sense. And the Ultimate one, I thought was very slow. You didn't get to Galactus until the very, very final issue, the 15th issue. It's called the 15th issue. It was 3 parts, but they did 5 issues per part. Let's call it the 15th issue, or 16th if you count the Ultimate Vision issue, which was so damn boring. It was Mark Millar. I was like, this is Mark Millar? I would think this is a textbook. I don't know. It was just very textbook for that Ultimate Vision, just explaining exposition. That's the problem I had with the entire book in itself. It was a lot of exposition, a lot of science mumbo jumbo. It wasn't, story focused. And when it got to story focused, it was actually interesting. I would say it's very 50-50. If you want to read it, do not buy it. It's a pretty expensive book for whatever reason. It's out of print, and I guess everyone wants it because it's like $100 on Amazon. It could just be Amazon being Amazon, because they notice that it's out of print and like, oh, let's jack up the price. Or as I like to call it, jack off the price. Yeah, very 50-50 for me for the Ultimate Galactus trilogy. I'm glad I read it though, even though I haven't read Ultimates yet. Or actually, I read the first volume like way back when, the first 6 issues way back when. But since then, I haven't really read it because I'm like that. I don't know why. I don't know why I can't just read the books I get. Anyways, I got Christmas. I haven't read any of those yet. But the comics I do. Because the floppies I consider to be a waste of money because it's $4. That's kind of expensive for a small-ass book like that. Not a waste of money because it's bad. No, it's like a waste of money because it's like, 20 pages to $4. So those ones I read right away, obviously. Not right away, but you know what I mean. And then Snagglepuss Chronicles. If it hadn't been for the final 3 issues, I would have dropped this book so hard. Because it had the slowest beginning ever. And I had heard his Flintstones run, Mark Russell's Flintstones run, which is kind of funny. Flintstones is actually really good. I already solicited that. Even people that didn't like I think I mentioned this before, but even people that didn't like to read liked his Flintstones run because it was that enjoyable. And his Snagglepuss run, it starts out so damn slow. It's like, why are we still introducing things 3 issues in, almost 3 issues in? And it just gets super slow. It's just, the plot does not move forward. It's a lot of introduction. But once that gets out of the way, once you get to actually get into meat and potatoes of the story, it's actually really good. I feel like they could have cut it down, the introductions to 1 issue. Maybe even have an oversized issue if you really need to. And then the rest of the series is the story. Because I feel like the story kind of had an abrupt ending, kind of, sort of, but like the part 1 of the story and then part 2, the aftermath. There you go, perfect explanation. Did a good job of explaining how everything went down. But it's just kind of like, okay. But I liked it all in all. I'm scratching under my nose. All in all, it was good. Let's put the fall again, but. Very slow start. It's also another thing I need to mention is that it's very politics heavy, and those of you who don't like politics in your comics probably aren't gonna like it. It's not too obnoxious like with how like a lot of modern comics are, but the usual suspects probably wouldn't like Snagglepuss. But I don't totally mind it when it's done good. When it's done good, I like it, and it's done good here. But yeah, it's still politics, that kind of stuff. Again, scratching under my nose. Anyways, then the Green Lantern by by Grant Morrison. It was very confusing, very Grant Morrison-y, but I like Grant Morrison. Even his lesser works, apparently, I like, except for 7 Soldiers of Victory. I hate that one. Again, this is about to fall. Okay, I'm just gonna stack this here, but that won't fall. Then the Green Lantern. His Green Lantern run, there's just a lot of going on, a lot of explaining about things you don't really know about, like, they don't explain well. But that's Grant Morrison. He just likes to throw everything at the wall, and no matter if it sticks or not. And for the most part, I liked it. Now, it was a little slower here and there, but for the most part, it was very enjoyable. And it's even more of a reason for why I should finally get into his Invisibles run, that omnibus I've had for how long now? Powers, Volume 1. A bit of a slow start, but once it gets going, it reminded me of why I originally liked that series so much. So again, it was a reread. And it was a very enjoyable series. Obviously, I have Volume 2. And it's one of those Brian Michael Bendis books that no one talks about. I actually completely forgot that my library even had it, much less that it existed at all. I was like, oh yeah, Powers, when I bought that Victory's Omnibus. Actually, the first time I remembered about Powers. So I wanted to read that series. Star Wars and Darth Vader. So the whole thing about that Darth Vader Down book is that Star Wars skips issue 2 ends issue 12, and they skip 13 14 because 13 14 of both series, Star Wars and Darth Vader, had a crossover. So I found it out the hard way, and I was a bit confused with the Star Wars book. But all in all, I really like Jason Aaron's run. And the Kieran Gillen Darth Vader Volume 2, lot slower than Volume 1. Volume 1 just had a lot of splash pages, a lot of action. Volume 2 was just a lot of discussing, a lot of talking about things I don't really care about in this series that much. Reminded me a lot of why I don't like. Well, actually, no, I haven't seen it yet. I've not seen the prequels, but reminded me a lot why people hate the prequels for prequel trilogy of Star Wars. There's a lot of talking about like trade federations and stuff like that. And then Supergirl Volume 2, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that like it's one of those things where even like the side characters, like she meets a new character, and even she's interesting. She has a backstory that you've sympathized with, and even before you know anything about this character, it's just such a nice character. They have such good chemistry together that it furthers that run. I like that run. Volume 3 is only Mike Johnson. The one before that, it's kind of funny. It's the guy I worked with on Movie Madness. Not the same guy, I don't think. But Volume 2 was Michael Green, but Volume 2 and Mike Johnson. But Volume 3 is just Mike Johnson. So time will tell if that makes it any worse or better, or just the same. I'd go with just the same. Ultimate Iron Man. Now, this was very controversial back in the day because it changed a lot of stuff for no reason for Iron Man. And, yeah, it does, but once you get over that, you get a pretty enjoyable story. It was very fast-paced. It was one of those ultimate books that exists for, like, a reason. Why am I saying that? There's that proves its existence. How do you say that? What's that word that everyone uses? You know what I mean. It's not like the quintessential Ultimate series. No, you probably wouldn't. I'll bet a lot of people were turned off by all the changes they made, and probably wasn't as good as people remember it, or well, not people remember it. You know what I mean? But probably wouldn't be as like I actually don't think as bad as people remember. I don't know why I said that. It's almost not as good. But it was very enjoyable. And finally, Suicide Squad, and that was a huge crossover 14-parter, and that really hurt the story being 14 parts, because you have crossovers with series that aren't written by John Ostrander, who wrote Suicide Squad and basically created Suicide Squad, made it his own thing in that regard. And this one was all the crossover issues not written by John Ostrander really made the book bad, and I would almost. It wasn't as enjoyable because of those crossover issues that weren't written by John Ostrander. They showed their age, number one. Number two, they were just boring. But the John Ostrander is like a pioneer. It proves that John Ostrander was a pioneer for his Suicide Squad run. He and John Byrne are so it's more than two, among like the quintessential authors of their time. Alright, so let's do a quick out of 10 score. Frighteners, I give like a 7 out of 10. Solid 7 out of 10. Solid movie. Check it out. I say rent it if it's pretty cheap. $4. Hero Academia, I give like a 9 out of 10. Galactus, a 5. Snagglepuss, a 6.5. Well, no, I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7 because the first two issues were super boring. Super boring. So 7 out of 10. 6.9. It was 69 out of 100. And then Green Lantern, I give like a 7.5. Powers, a 9. Star Wars, I give like a 7.5. Darth Vader, I give like an 8, maybe 7.5, just because it was very slow. Supergirl 8.5, Iron Man 7.5, and Suicide Squad a 8, solid 8. And that's it. Good. No barking from my dogs, no interruptions, all good. Alright, perfect. That's the end.